Hey, good morning. It's Pete, North Las Vegas again. I just uploaded a video on this M forgery, and we did 3 range trips out before we figured out what the ejection problem was. And on this Wilson Combat brand new BCG that I bought probably over a year ago, the ejector spring was out of spec. It was at 24 coils instead of the mil spec 27 coils. And the rifle was functioning, but it was just barely getting by on the ejection. And it was very inconsistent. It was just kind of all over the place, just wasn't behaving right. So like I said, we took this bolt completely apart, and that's when I discovered that there was an out of spec ejection spring. So this one here, I just recently purchased from Primary Arms, I think a week or 2 ago. And because this one had an out of spec spring, I thought, you know what? I wonder if this is happening with all of their stuff. So like I said, this one's brand new. I just got it from Primary Arms. And I took the bolt apart, pulled the ejector spring out, and guess what? Same thing. 24 coils instead of the correct 27. So this one would have misbehaved or even outright malfunctioned as well. So I have a third Wilson Combat that's in this A2 that I just recently did. And this rifle was kind of acting up too. I'm thinking maybe because it's a 20-inch gas length system that maybe it wasn't quite as bad, but I can tell something is way off on the ejection of this too. So I'm going to pull this Wilson Combat, which is a non-marked, non-logo, that I purchased at the same time as this one about a year and a half ago, something like that. So I'm going to take this one apart, and we're going to see if we got the same ejection spring problem on this one. Okay, so these are some of the numbers that I took from the M4 technical data package. So these are not measured numbers, these are specifications. So the free length should be about 0.926, fully compressed, which I'm not going to measure, but that's supposed to be at 0.650. 27 coils with a diameter of 0.103 plus or minus 3 thousandths. So that's your basic spring specs. Wilson Combat on the top, and Springco brand new on the bottom. Now the spring on the top has about 20 rounds on it. So there is no reason for that spring to have taken a set or shortened up on during firing on 20 rounds. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to count the coils off camera because it's kind of hard to count them. And we'll see where this one ends up. I mean, we can already see that the WC spring is once again out of spec. So that's going to be 3 brand new Wilson Combat ejection springs. This one here was bought about a year and a half ago. This one here was bought a year and a half ago. And this one here I just got from Primary Arms, as I was saying at the beginning of the video. So we're looking at over a year of out of spec ejection springs. So let me count these coils and we'll give you a definitive number. It looks like it's missing 2 at least. And the other 2 springs on the other 2 bolt carriers were missing 3 springs. This one looks like it's only maybe missing 2. Let me count them. So this one comes in at about 25 coils. So it was a little bit, it has 1 extra coil or 1.5 more coils than the other 2 that were out of spec. But this is still not right. It's supposed to have 27. And like I said, if you compare the Springco right up against it, you can see that, let me get them lined up here. You can see that the spring coil is about 2.5 coils longer. So the Wilson Combat spring is still out of spec. And the other thing I noticed about the Wilson Combat spring, I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up, but this thing's bent. It's got a big kink in the middle. So in addition to being 2 coils short instead of 3 like the other ones, it's bent up. All right, I'm going to get this Springco installed, and this will be another rifle that should work much better on ejection. Okay, well, that was it. I just wanted to showcase that we now have 3 Wilson Combat bolt carriers, all purchased within a year and a half of each other. Each and every one of them having the same issue. Ejection springs that are out of spec, not correct. Wilson Combat, this is too much of a coincidence. I think you guys got a problem. Earlier in the video, we said that Spec was 0.926. This comes in right at 0.9. Now, there's no trickery here. I don't have this, compressed or trying to make it look shorter. That's the actual measurement. As best I can get it in there without any compression at all. The spring co I've already installed, but I had one extra spring co left over, so we'll compare that to the Wilson Combat. And like I said, Spec's supposed to be 0.296, so we're 26 thousandths short on the Wilson Combat, but we're about 2 coils short. So spring co comes in at 0.935 roughly. So that's about 10 thousandths over, but I would rather have the spring just ever so slightly longer than too short. You can get into trouble if your spring is too long. That plunger will not go flush with the bolt face. And then you're going to have going into battery problems, and it's going to look like a head spacing problem if that plunger doesn't go flush with the bolt face. But being 10 thousandths over, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so once again, Wilson Combat, Pete, North Las Vegas, over and out. So bonus clip, I forgot to mention this until now. Like I said earlier in the video, that's Spec, 0.926 free length. The very first Wilson Combat spring that I found bad, that's the one that came out of the M forgery, and that came in at 885. So you can see quite a bit out of spec and 24 coils. And this one here was, if I remember right, it was like 886 or 7, something like that. And it also was at 24 coils. So just to recap what we just did here, this is around roughly 25 coils. And we just did the measurement on this one at 0.9. So that's it. Over and out for real this time.